began the show by mentioning some news from the US today that suggests Trump may skip Biden's inauguration and instead overshadow the whole event by holding a big rally where he will announce that he is going to run for president in 2024. Daisy, what are the chances of that happening? Do you think he will run again once Biden is confirmed as the next president?
Well, look, Donald Trump, believe it or not, he still has legal options available to him right now for this year, the 2020 election. The Pennsylvania Republicans actually have a date in the Supreme Court this week on the 8th of December, which, of course, is the safe harbor day for the certification of votes. They're going to plead that no excuses mail-in voting in Pennsylvania was unconstitutional, and it was ruled by a Pennsylvania judge that they're actually likely to succeed in that. So if they do succeed, remember they've got a 6-3 majority on the conservative majority on that Supreme Court. Well, that could throw a giant spanner in the works. Georgia may also be in dispute very soon because they're demanding a signature audit. And then what that will mean is that all Trump will need is one faithless elector to put Joe Biden down to 269 electoral college votes instead of 270. And then, of course, it goes to a House vote. And if that's the case, Trump wins because the Republicans have the majority of the House delegates. It's pretty. It might possibly be a photo finish. It's so exciting. But in the event that Biden does end up being inaugurated, I don't blame Trump at all for not going to the inauguration if that's what he wants to do. I don't think there's any reason for him to be there if he doesn't want to be. He's been treated so appallingly by these deranged Democrats for the 5 years since he announced his candidacy. As for him holding a rally, look, I wouldn't put it past him. It might not necessarily be the best idea. It might be just a teensy bit over the top. But look, Donald Trump is a larger-than-life character. I'm sure that his supporters would love it. And look, if he doesn't win, he ends up running again in 2024. Well, he has 4 full years now to campaign and criticize Biden and criticize the Democrats. And look, one way or another, he may end up getting that second term.
Well, Prue, if he does, if Biden is president and he does announce that he's going to run in 4 years' time, it has the potential to completely overshadow Biden's administration because, as we know, that Trump base is pretty devoted and they're not at all happy. And the majority of them, consecutive polls show majority of those GOP voters don't believe that it was a fair election. So, yes, they're not out there rioting and burning down cities, but they still think that their man was hard done by. And I think, do you think that sentiment will continue for another 4 years, or will they look for someone new for 2024?
No, I think they'll give him another chance. I mean, the man's been a totally unconventional president, to say the least, and I wouldn't at all put it past him to stage his alternative media extravaganza on Inauguration Day. I just worry how it's going to play globally, though, because it looks like he's a reluctant or sore loser. I mean, he's certainly a reluctant loser, but, a sore loser, and that, he should just go to bed in the fetal position for a while and then, come out fighting to perhaps, go again. It'll be interesting to see what he does, what does happen. He doesn't seem to care what people think of him, so there's a good chance that he will do what, we're hearing he's planning.
Well, yeah, let's have a look at the latest poll on who is favourite to be the next Republican candidate. This just came out, I think, this morning. You can see Trump's right at the top there, 35%. Pence next at 19%. Another Trump, third favourite, that's Donald Trump Jr. with 11%. Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz. Rubio's no chance, and neither is Ivanka Trump. But there's just a lot of Trumps on that page, Prue. It seems like they've taken over the GOP.
Yeah, well, I think they all have aspirations. I would have thought Ivanka would be there, and probably I'd prefer her to Donald Trump Jr. But I think Trump Sr. will definitely have a go. I'd like to really see Pence. I think Mike Pence was so impressive during the debates, and he would be the one I'd be voting for, and I think the Republicans should consider. But, that Trump mania will probably be all pervading, and you know, there's no chance that he'll get a chance. Pence will get a chance.
Well, he is. I think he surprised a lot of people because he's been overshadowed, obviously, so much by Trump. But during that debate, particularly with Kamala, he really did show that he's so very much capable and polished. But let's move on to local news. The Wallabies won much applause from the Turarati. They were absolutely in raptures about the fact that the team sang a portion of the anthem in the Eora language. But not everybody was a fan, including a number of Indigenous athletes and activists, such as NRL star Latrell Mitchell, who posted on Instagram, "When will people understand that changing it, the language doesn't change the meaning?" Daisy, what do you think of this whole exercise? Do you think it's something we should consider about changing the anthem, or what are your thoughts on it?
Well, look, I get what they're trying to do. I don't have any problem at all with the rugby, you know, acknowledging or celebrating Indigenous culture. There are a lot of Indigenous players, and certainly the New Zealand manages to do it beautifully. You know, with the haka, they have their anthem, and then they have the haka, which is thematically appropriate as well because it's a traditional war dance. They're going into competition, and everyone absolutely loved it. I don't see why Australia can't do a similar thing, but this to me doesn't. It actually seems quite culturally insensitive what they've done here, because I think, as you pointed it out on Twitter, Rita, there are hundreds of Indigenous languages out there. You know, so it's this strange sort of whitewashing and sort of tokenistic way of doing it. And I totally agree with Latrell. I don't have any issue, of course, with the lyrics of the anthem, but if the issue is with the words, which is where the issue is, then I don't understand how simply singing it in another language changes the meaning. And I think it's really quite patronising. So, look, I get what they're trying to do. There has to be a better way of doing it, though.
What do you think, Prue? Are you in favour of changing young and free, which seems to be a couple of the words that some activists have issue with, or do you think we just leave the anthem alone?
No, I'm in favour of it. I think one and free is fine. I don't have a problem, and there's certainly been precedents, although we don't want to keep changing it. You know, I think that the motive behind it was to try and unite. We will have all the politics surrounding the Aboriginal industry, where so many are saying, you know, there are so many different Aboriginal languages, so why was the Eora one chosen? And I sort of get that too, but what annoys me is that this really is virtue signalling. It's not going to help in any way the issues in the communities, the domestic violence, the sexual, violence, the lack of housing and education and water. So I'd like to see what's going on there and how we can improve that, because then I think we have something to be very proud of, but currently we don't.
Well, we can't talk about any of those issues. It's always these issues about the anthem, the flag, Australia Day,
That's
not
right.
really issues of substance that affect people's lives and could actually save lives. Now, ladies, thank you so much for joining me, Prue and Daisy, and thank you for joining me tonight as well.